What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about one of the best brands on the market, in my opinion, and I'll be giving a full house overview of Parfum d'Empire, founded by Marc-Antoine Corticchiato, the founder and the current in-house perfumer for the brand. This brand, like I said, is, in my opinion, one of the best brands on the entire market. This is real perfumery. This is super high quality, and it's a rare example of a brand with great perfumery that is super high quality that isn't super overpriced. I have almost every single fragrance from the house except one to talk about in either full bottle or sample form. The only one I won't be able to discuss today is the Eau de Cologne version of Eau de Gloire, but it's actually on the way. It's just not here yet, so I can't really include it in the video. Other than that, I mean, I have sample sets for basically every other fragrance of the entire house. So let's get right into things. If you enjoy, guys, be sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button. Let me know if you've tried anything from Parfum d'Empire. And if you haven't, hopefully this video will, interest you, because I really think this brand just has a phenomenal feel for things. I think the brand has so many just different styles and different takes on popular notes. So without further ado, let's get right into things. As I mentioned, the brand was founded by Marc-Antoine Corticchiato. I believe he worked in a laboratory studying different plant extraction methods. So he was around a lot of raw materials before. He's also a big equestrian, right? He loves horses. He lives that sort of equestrian lifestyle. There are some fragrances in here that have a heavy equestrian inspiration, like Ruade, and I think there's one called Equistrius. All of these fragrances do have a pretty good level of backstory behind them, and as you can see on these samples, they do feature them right on there. So I will try to go through these as fast as I can without making this video like 50 minutes long. First fragrance I want to talk about, I don't have a sample of, but I do have a bottle of it because it's absolutely fantastic. This is their actually newest release. This is Madagascar Le Baume Vanille, and I've had a dry down of this on my arm for about 3 hours now. Oh my god. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of glazing in this video, but I really mean what I say. Some of these fragrances are just absolutely outstanding, and Madagascar Le Baume Vanille is no exception. So this can kind of be lumped in that boozy, spicy vanilla family. A lot of people were comparing this to Vanille Havane when it first released. It is in that family, but it does not remind me of Vanille Havane, really. So when you spray Madagascar, you're met with this dry, peppery, woody, clovey opening. It's very spicy. You do get the booziness right ahead, but the spices and the dryness really is up front. Then it gets boozier and boozier. Those spices start getting a little faded away. And then you just get the most incredible combination of, I believe, 3 different types of vanilla extract methods used in this fragrance. I think there's an absolute, a tincture, and some other method. And you just get all these different facets of vanilla. You get the booziness, you get some of the sweetness, you get some of that, vanilla extract thing, but it's not really overtly gourmand. This is, I would put this fragrance in the adult gourmand category, because I don't really read this as like a juvenile vanilla. This is definitely on the darker side of vanillas as well. It also does have this slight bitter cacao note, which is why people were comparing it to Vanille Havane whenever it was released. They're kind of both vanillas with bitter cacao and this sort of a spicy, boozy thing. But they're completely different fragrances, in my opinion, even though they fit in the same category. Madagascar Le Baume Vanille is one of the best vanillas I have ever smelled. I'm not a huge vanilla guy. I only own, I think, 3. One is Shalimar, but that's not really like 100% vanilla. The other one is this. Then the other one is Vanille Havane. So this, for me, one of the best vanillas on the market, period, but you do have to like spicy, darker, boozier, sort of more rich takes on vanilla. All right, moving on, the next fragrance is Yuzu Fou, or Fou. It apparently means crazy yuzu, and it reads, bright and invigorating, the crackling scent of Japanese yuzu set in a cocktail of concentrated citrus extracts, topped off with icy splash of mint, Verbena Absolute with green bamboo accord boosts the coolness of this crazy yuzu. So yuzu is kind of like this in note right now. You see so many brands, even some of the more artistic brands, jump onto that yuzu trend. Brands like Meo Fushuni just released Isola, for instance. I believe that has a very heavy yuzu note. But I believe this is an older release from the house. I don't think this is Marc-Antoine Corticato jumping on any trends. He just made it randomly. And this is such a bitter, realistic smelling, natural smelling, juicy, effervescent yuzu. You do get a bit of that green sort of verbena, lemon verbena vibe. It's also a little bit lemony. It's kind of watery, like yuzu comes off to me. It's sort of that almost like a damp citrus. There is something a little like base heavy in this fragrance as well, though. It's sort of woody. It's vegetal in a way, but the thing that really stands out is just how natural this is while maintaining that sort of bitter effervescence. This smells so cooling in a way. And I know the briefly mentioned mint, but if anything, the mint is just aiding that coolness. It really isn't a star of the show at all. It's not going to go toothpastey on you, so if you're worried about that, this definitely does not go toothpastey. This is definitely just a unique take on a very popular note right now that maybe not a lot of people know about. So yeah, Yuzu Fou, it's absolutely beautiful. Just a great citrus fragrance for the summertime. And just from the future here, I forgot to include actually one of my favorite floral fragrances from the entire brand. It'd be a shame if I didn't include it in this video. This is called Un Bel Amour d'été, and I just remembered I have a full bottle of this and not a sample, but I didn't grab it when I grabbed Madagascar Le Baume Vanille. But Un Bel Amour d'été, oh, this is my absolute favorite floral fragrance from Parfum d'Empire. It's kind of like Goutal Songe, if you can imagine that sort of sunny, happy, tropical floral thing. It's the same thing going on here, but there's just a little tiny bit of dirtiness from, I think, a cumin note. Do not be afraid of this fragrance, though. It is the sunniest, happiest floral melange I've ever smelled. It's got some really big gardenia and champaka, and I think there's frangipani in here as well. It's so buttery smooth and like fluffy smelling. I don't know how to describe that, but it's just an incredible smell. This does lean feminine, but I own it and wear it because it just smells so damn good, especially in the summertime. There's also vanilla in it, so if your bottle turns like this, which mine has started to turn, don't be worried. It's just the vanilla / vanillin. Next up is a very difficult fragrance for me. This is Mal-Aime or Mal-Aime. I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but this fragrance has a very unique selling point. It essentially is a fragrance that uses plants that Marc-Antoine Corticato determines are forgotten. Literally like weeds on the side of the road. He lists things like thistles, nettles, brambles, roots, and he says this iconoclastic fragrance does them justice at last. So this literally does smell. Oh my god. It smells like sun-beaten, forgotten weeds on like the side of a sidewalk. The things growing up between the sidewalk, the things growing out of walls, the vines, the things that you see, random insects land on when you're outside, but you don't really know what it is. Just completely forgotten greenery. It's, oh my god, it's so bitter. It's bitter. It's piercingly green, piercingly vegetal. But I have to say, this does smell identical to the smell of basically sun-beaten or just rotting vegetation getting absolutely just blasted by sunlight outside. In a strange way, it is actually kind of fresh. It doesn't smell bad. It's just a very particular fragrance. If you're a fan of green fragrances and you've never tried Mal-Aime, I would highly recommend this. It's extremely artistic. It is a very unique take on the green fragrance genre. It literally uses notes and extracts that I'm sure I've never smelled in another fragrance before. This really does stand alone. I have to say, though, it is not my favorite. That sort of bitter green style was never my favorite, and this turns it up to about 11. Next up is another plant-based fragrance, and this plant is, of course, native to the Corsican region, but this one is way more popular and also kind of notorious for smelling like curry to some people. This is Immortelle Corse. This is an extrait de parfum. The fragrances I've talked about previously are all eau de parfums, so this is our first extrait. This is a lot of people's reference Immortelle, even over something like Goutte Sables. This is incredibly photorealistic Immortelle. So if you don't like Immortelle, probably steer clear of this one. The description for this reads, Corsican and untamable. The emblem of the Corsican maquis Immortelle is highlighted by flame-colored ingredients, saffron, lemon, and apricot, before fully expressing its fiery nature in woody, fruity, liquory, spicy facets, the quintessence of a land set ablaze by the sun. And this does feel set ablaze by the sun. It feels like you're walking by a bunch of like Immortelle bushes. They're so fragrant. It smells yellow. It smells hot. It does have that curry sort of, you know, almost honeyed, syrupy aspect. There is a little bit of that, right in the top, there's a little bit of that lemony sweetness. But really, this is sort of a reference Immortelle fragrance. It has every single thing you're looking for in an Immortelle fragrance. All of the facets are present here. Almost that sort of creme brulee, you know, sun-beaten, very, very piercingly yellow curry smell. Super well textured. It is absolutely beautiful. I love Immortelle. I need to get a bottle of this because it really is that good. Next up is one of the more simplistic fragrances from the brand. This is called Iskander, and this is going to be your quintessential, beautifully executed, simplistic, citrus aromatic, or like citrus chypre type of fragrance. The brief for this reads, sparkling, embracing the radiance of citron showcased by a citrus accord, the delicate freshness of neroli contrasts with the bracing aromas of tarragon and coriander, oak moss, amber, musk, and anchor the notes in a sensuous sillage. Well then. And yeah, you basically get exactly what he's talking about. Beautiful, photorealistic, very bright, effervescent, zingy citruses. They kind of remind me of the citruses in something like Eau Sauvage, but this is so high quality and so photorealistic. You do get a little bit of like that spicy herbal quality, and then of course you get the base, which is this sort of musky, slightly mossy, very slightly woody dry down. You basically just get exactly what it sounds like. If you're looking for an extremely well done, very high quality, but maybe a little bit basic and predictable citrus fragrance, this would be a very, very good choice. You can pick this up on discounters, and I think almost all of the fragrances on here on discounters for really, really good value. But even at retail, I mean, Parfum d'Empire compared to some of these other brands is almost a bargain at retail, and that's kind of disappointing to say because these fragrances at retail, they're not cheap, but I mean, look at brands like Parfum de Marly and Initio, and then look at this, and it's like, oh, maybe it is decent value. Now, it's funny that I spoke about value because next up we're talking about the most expensive fragrance from the brand. So expensive, in fact, that I don't believe the brand actually offers official samples of this. So I had to go to Lucky Scent to get a sample of it, and it is Ruade. This is the brand's oud, and yes, it uses real oud. This is a special oud fragrance, though. This is one of the best, most evocative oud fragrances I've ever come across. And I mentioned previously Marc-Antoine Corticato, the perfumer of the brand. He's a big equestrian. Some of the fragrances have this equestrian touch, and this is one of them. So yeah, straight up, I'm going to tell you what this smells like. This smells like horse breath. I'm not kidding. If you've ever been around horses for even a couple seconds up close, and you're in like this stable, you're petting the horse, you're just in and around the horses, you would know what this smells like even without smelling it, to be honest with you. Horse breath, animalic oud. It literally smells like a stable. It smells like a field. There's a beautiful greenness to this, almost like a floral waxy quality. I don't really know where that comes from, but the oud is front and center, at least in the opening. This fragrance goes through a really interesting transition, and that is indicative of real oud because, in my experience, real oud doesn't really last too long. So what happens in this fragrance is you get a big hit of what I can describe as maybe like barnyardy, animalic, leathery, horsey oud. Then it dries down, and what you're left with is kind of a very surprisingly serene and fresh green, leathery, slightly woody oudy still dry down, but the animalics go way down, and it becomes a lot more easier. It becomes a lot easier to actually just handle this fragrance. But if I had to describe it in a single sentence, I would just say to you, this smells 1-to-1 with horse breath. And I'm dead serious. All right, back on the official sample trail, this is called Eau de Gloire. And I know it looks like Eau de Glory, but apparently it is Eau de Gloire. I didn't know that either. Don't worry. This, I own a full bottle of it, is absolutely beautiful. But the brief reads, fiery and imperial, the glorious water opens with sparkling tangerine and bergamot, enhanced by the bracing aromas of myrtle and rosemary. The scent of Corsican maquis asserts themselves with everlasting cistus and oak moss suffused with incense. Now, in my opinion, that actually doesn't do a great job of explaining what this fragrance really is. This is basically, to my nose, a take on Hermès Bel Amour. Now, did Marc-Antoine Corticchiato intend to do a take on Hermès Bel Amour? I have absolutely no idea. All I know is it has that same spiciness, it has that same French leathery dry down, and the only difference, at least in my opinion, having owned vintage Bel Amour and having worn that fragrance a lot, is Eau de Gloire is distinctly more citrusy in the opening, and honestly, Eau de Gloire smells higher quality than even vintage Bel Amour. I know that might come off as like sacrilegious to a lot of the vintage heads, but I've owned both, and I prefer Eau de Gloire, I really do. So yeah, in the opening, you're gonna get the mix of the beautiful aromatic sort of herbaceous notes mixed with these citruses, and as it dries down, the citruses pretty much fade away, and you're left with this beautiful, soapy, kind of clean French leather. I think this is signature scent worthy. This can be worn in any occasion for any reason. It really isn't a beast, but it does have decent lasting power. And yeah, Eau de Gloire, if you're looking for an elegant, versatile leather fragrance with some interest and appeal, and you're not a fan of Bel Amour, I would try this because, in my opinion, I think this is a better version of it. Next up is one of the most drop-dead beautiful fragrances from the brand, in my opinion. This is called Tabac Tabou, and it is another extrait de parfum. The brief for this is shamanic and penetrating. Set aflame by immortelle, tobacco curls its tawny plumes around a spirited spray of narcissus. Honey, heated skin, wild grass, a tribute to a plant held sacred by the Indian people of the Americas. So, I want you to delete all knowledge of tobacco fragrances you have, because for this fragrance, it's irrelevant. This is the most unique tobacco I've ever put my nose on personally, and I own artisanal tobacco fragrances like Sacred Tobacco from Extra Virgo, almost blanked on the name. This is a green, vegetal, almost waxy take on tobacco. Oh my god. It has this incredible floral freshness. It's so textured. It's almost wet smelling, damp. And if you spend enough time with it, you will eventually recognize that this is actually tobacco. It's just tobacco like you've never smelled before. I believe the production of this fragrance is actually limited because they use the real thing. They use some sort of incredibly infrequently harvested tobacco absolute or extract. Therefore, whenever a bottle of millesime, Tabac Tabou is made, the millesime, the year, is essentially labeled on it. I think my bottle is millesime 2022. So yeah, this fragrance, it can't really be produced in a lot of quantity. It's just an incredibly unique tobacco fragrance. It gives you an entirely different perspective on what the note can even smell like. Moving on, we have a difficult one for some people because this one has cumin. This is called Aziyade. Beautiful fragrance name. The brief for this reads, outrageous and carnal. This cornucopia of aphrodisiac spices opens with a splash of pomegranate juice, candied date, prune, and orange notes draw us into a sensuous feast where tears of incense melt into musk, cistus, and carob, whatever carob is. But again, I think that isn't exactly an ideal description of the scent. They kind of, I think, maybe intentionally leave out the cuminy aspects of this, but the opening, utterly to die for, in my opinion. Oh my god. So that pomegranate note he mentions, front and center, one of the most absolutely realistic renditions of a fruity note I have ever smelled without it going synthetic in any way, shape, or form. It's juicy. It's so, like it's in your face. You can see the pomegranate. You can see the dates. You can see them all sort of like stewing together and just, there's a bunch of juices from them. It's so beautiful. But then, underneath that absolutely gorgeous fruity opening, which is fairly short-lived, you are going to be met with some of the carnal aspects of this, okay? So this goes spice markety for a lot of people. Cumin. It can be a little bit BO. It can be a little bit oniony even. But to offset that, I think the sweetness mixed with the spiciness is incredibly well done. If I had to compare this to a fragrance, I would compare it to a Serge Lutens by the name of Arabi. So if you've ever smelled Arabi, imagine Arabi modernized with a different opening and maybe a little bit denser. That is basically what Aziyade is. Next up is the brand's take on vetiver. This is Vetiver Bourbon, or Vetiver Bourbon. I famously kind of don't like vetiver. I've tried so many. I've tried the most famous vetiver fragrances ever, and I just don't really vibe with it very well. However, I can appreciate how beautiful and high quality this is. So the brief for this reads, raw and sophisticated, a scent that exalts the primal nature of the precious essence of vetiver. A scentscape that evokes the harvest of the fragrant root in the mist of the early dawn. Vetiver untamed, torn from the earth of the island of La Réunion. And as you might expect, yes, this is a wet, dirt, rooty, earthy, even nutty smelling vetiver. It has so many of the facets. It's so well textured and rendered. And basically, if you like vetiver, this is it. Like, this is one of the vetiver fragrances I've ever smelled. I would put this up against, Guerlain vetiver, some of the Raja vetivers. I think it is really, really that good. Obviously, Raja vetiver and Guerlain vetiver are different fragrances, but I'm just saying in terms of how well it actually, gets vetiver across as a note, I would say Vetiver Bourbon really deserves some praise. It also has a slight spicy aspect, but basically you're going to just get a ton of different facets of vetiver. Wet dirt, rooty, earthy, nutty. It's all here. Next up is a beautiful rose fragrance from the house. This is called Eau Suave. And the brief for this reads, charming and playful, this piquant rose cocktail reveals little-known facets of the Queen of Flowers. Fruit, peach, raspberry, apricot, and spices, coriander, saffron, and pepper. Musk and vanilla round out the bouquet, set in mossy patchouli. And yes, basically, if I had to describe this, this is a fruity, jammy, stemmy, slightly green, rose patchouli oak moss. That is basically how I would put this. It's pink, it's slightly sweet, it's certainly fruity. You just get a little bit of that pepper, just a little bit. It's right on the edge. And then it dries down to something that I would compare to, like, even Dior Gris Dior. It's kind of in that Dior Gris Dior line of things, but I prefer Eau Suave. I know some people are going to ask, rose patchouli, is it like Portrait of a Lady? I would say no, because it doesn't have incense, but it is a very jammy, playful, I would say a very feminine, girly smelling rose. This would smell absolutely killer for like a date night or whatever you want to wear it for. But I also think this can be a very professional smelling, sort of like a boss girl rose. You know what I mean? Like, it does smell mature in a way. It smells put together and very, very classy. Next up, we have a pretty crazy one from the brand. This is called Fougere Bengale. Don't let the name fool you. This is not your average fougere by any stretch of the imagination. Don't think Fougere Royale. We're in different worlds now. So the brief for this is warm and wild. This untamed scent for adventurous travelers kicks off with English barbershop lavender and lands in the rich hay scent of Assam tea plantations. Blonde tobacco softened with tonka bean conjure the savannas of India. And yes, I believe Scent Zatura put it the best. That channel's wonderful, by the way. I put a link in the description. This is a very aggressive fragrance. It really tries to depict a landscape, and I get a very heavy dose of what comes off to me as the most herbal lavender I have ever smelled, combined with immortelle, heavy spices, a warm, sun-beaten smell. But like I said, this is not, under any circumstances, your average fougere. I struggle to see this as a fougere, actually, and I really, really want to love it. I appreciate it, but this one, personally, comes off to me like curry even more than the immortelle. But with that being said, it's absolutely beautiful. I've never smelled anything like this before, ever. Like, I've smelled, at this point, thousands of fragrances. This one sticks out as singular, completely unique. It has so many, it feels like a kaleidoscope. It has so much going on. It's hard to actually pick it apart and pay attention to individual aspects of it. There's the lavender sort of herbaceousness. There's that sun-dried, almost like, you know, Indian savanna feel, like it's 100 degrees outside. The blonde, you know, completely water devoid bush and brush. You can just see that. The tobacco is warm. The immortelle is super, super curried and spicy. And it just all comes at you at once. But like I said, this one for me is one of the more difficult ones from the brand. And, you know, I have it on skin here. On skin, it's actually way better than on strip, as you would expect. But on skin, it kind of just goes even more curry on me. But don't let my personal experience with this beautiful, beautiful perfume turn you away from smelling it. I think the fragrances from Parfum d'Empire are just an amazing experience, and you should try this even if you think you're going to hate it, because I think this is one of those things where it just shows you like what's even possible with perfumery. Before I smelled this, I didn't even know like a smell like this was possible. Next up, we have another one of the most adventurous fragrances from this brand, and one of the most unique. This is Salut, or maybe it's Salute, or Salute. This fragrance actually uses a wine extract. It's very unique. The brief is sparkling and exhilarating, a tribute to the hospitality of Corsica and to its vineyards. This fresh eau, based on vine leaves and wine dregs extract, is livened by citrus. A powdery breeze of iris and musks evoke the angel's share. The depth of oak casks anchors it in the island's territory. And yeah, like I said, this is one of the weirdest, most unique, most adventurous, innovative fragrances from the brand by far. It's such a bizarre smell. It is like you just popped a bottle of wine. It's very dry, almost like mouth quenchingly dry. It just totally sucks all the moisture out of your mouth when you smell it. Like almost the tannins of the alcohol, the wine itself. There is this sort of grape feel to this fragrance. Incredibly dry, boozy in a wine way. I don't really get much of like the irisy aspects. I just kind of see this as a very unique dry wine fragrance. So if this sounds interesting to you, definitely give this a try. I don't know of any other fragrance that I've ever come across that uses wine dreg extract as a raw material. So for Salut, I think that's really just a very, very strange one. Next up, we have one of my favorite fragrances from the brand when it comes to its name. This is called Corsica Furiosa. I love that name. I think it's awesome. The brief is energizing and impetuous. Furiously green. Yes, it is. A verdant burst built around lentiscus, an evergreen shrub typical of Corsica. Sap, leaf, wood, moss, hay, resin. Green from top to the very bottom. And yes, the brief doesn't lie. This and Mal-Aime are the two most challenging fragrances from the brand for me personally. This is so green, it's like mind-blowing. So when you first smell it, it just punches you directly in the mouth with the most bitter, realistic, sappy, woody, green vegetal smell you'll ever come across. I mean, it is literally like you are just biting into like just a giant bush outside of your house and you're just eating the leaves. That's what I imagine when I smell this fragrance. There's like this ashy galbanum green quality, incredibly dry and bitter, herbaceous. In a way, it's fresh, even though I think it's kind of dry. So yeah, if you're looking for an unbelievably unique green fragrance, I would definitely try Corsica Furiosa. This is one for the books, really. I mean, this is crazy. Next up is another floral fragrance from the house, but this time it is Osmanthus with Osmanthus Interdite. This is such a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So if you don't know what Osmanthus smells like, it's incredibly unique. It's sort of this leathery, apricot-y floral. The brief reads, velvety and sensuous, the surprising apricot and suede notes, of Osmanthus, the emblematic flower of China, are set off by a green tea accord. Rose oil and jasmine sambac absolute add richness wrapped in delicate white musk. And yeah, basically, once again, I think you get what the brief suggests. It's the most gorgeous, I mean, just beautiful, photorealistic Osmanthus note. It has that slight fuzzy, fruity feel with that beautiful, very soft suede leather. To my nose personally, I don't get a lot of the jasmine and the rose, but I do absolutely get that tea feel. It's kind of green and fresh, and it just all comes together to form just... I need to buy this. You can get this for like $80, which is criminal. An absolute criminal price for this fragrance. I would pay double, honestly. This is gorgeous. Oh, wow. Such a fresh, slightly fruity, slightly leathery, tea-inflected floral. Just an amazingly unique perfume. I need to buy this, like, after the video. All right, next up we have a beautiful iris leather. This is called Cuir Ottoman. I used to own this. I sold it because I just felt like I couldn't get what I wanted from it. It is a very particular fragrance, but it is really, really gorgeous. The brief for this is powerful and refined leather rubbed with a powdery iris, warmed with cistus and burnt styrax, dipped in a heady oriental base of tolu balsam, benzoin resin, and incense tears. And yes, of course, I've worn this many times. I used to own it. Oh, it is beautiful. It is really, really beautiful. But you basically get this amazing, never animalic, never even a sharp edge to it leather, like a fresh car interior leather with just iris butter smooth, just smeared all over it, right? The most beautiful floral fragrant iris butter. And then it's a little warm because there's benzoin, as he just mentioned. So there's this warm sort of resinous quality. I don't get much of the incense, but basically it's a warm iris leather. It isn't anything like Dior Homme Parfum, if you're wondering. It definitely smells really, really different, but this is so, so beautiful. To me, it's pretty tame, but it does last a good while. It just doesn't project a lot, and I think that's what killed it for me. I do like my fragrances to be pretty strong, but this, if you're looking for something that's elegant, refined, tame, this is a beautiful option. Moving on, we have my personal favorite citrus fragrance from this brand. This is called Azemour Les Orangers, and this is so photorealistic. The brief for this is: sunny and moving, the landscape scent inspired by an orange grove in Azemour, Morocco, displays all the facets of the orange tree. So, and yes, it does. It's basically a beautiful citrus chypre, but it's an orange citrus chypre. So it starts off with just the most... Oh, I own a full bottle of this. The most photorealistic, rindy orange you'll ever smell in a fragrance. It's so good. It has every single thing you would think an orange fragrance should have. The rindiness, the juiciness, the effervescence. It literally feels like you are just... You're taking your fingernail and you're just digging it into the rind of an orange and you get that spritz out of it. I know from experience, the base of this turns green and mossy, and there's a little bit of like this old school musky inflection. It kind of wears like an eau de cologne with a little bit of weird, dirty muskiness. But I don't want to give you guys the wrong idea. This is an incredibly fresh, wearable, beautiful, versatile, summery citrus fragrance. I think it's one of the best orange fragrances ever made, full stop. Next up, we have another floral from the house, but this one shimmers like a diamond for me. This is called La Cruie de la Luminaire, but I think they dropped the Luminaire part. I think it's just La Cruie now. The cry, the brief for this is radiant and airy. La Cruie's soaring cry is a call for light, for rebirth, crystal clear ambrette of vegetal musk with an eau de vie facet irradiates an opalescent iris shot through with glowing rose. A subtly woody base brushes against the skin, luxury brought to light. And like I mentioned, to me, this fragrance is shimmering. It's like a veil in the air. It is utterly just effervescent and completely transparent, but you can still tell it's there. I get what I perceive to be as a ton of aldehydes, like really, boom, just throwing the fragrance up in the air. It feels like a Chanel in that way. Busy, aldehydic, beautiful, transparent. But at the same time, the florals are really, really legible. I definitely get this ambrette-y, sort of irisy thing going on. Then the rose is there. It's like the softest pink rose in the background. It comes across as incredibly clean, elegant, put together. To me, this is another one that leans feminine, but I could totally see how people would wear this as a unisex fragrance, of course. It just comes across as you smelling clean, but in a very unique way. So if you want a stunning, different take on a floral, definitely check out La Cruie. It's just beautiful. Next up, we have a fragrance with my favorite name of the entire brand. This is called Wazamba. I mean, come on. Wazamba. It's like, are you kidding me? How are we not going to say that 500 times? So Wazamba's brief is mystical and profound, the woody resinous scent of sacred rituals, deeply resonant Somali incense, Kenyan myrrh, Ethiopian opopanax, Indian sandalwood, and Moroccan cypress. Okay. Fans of Profumum Roma Arso, fans of Serge Luton's Fianagi, fans of cypress, incense, woody compositions in general, come to the front of the class. You are sleeping on Wazamba. I'm letting you know right now. You are sleeping on Wazamba. This is one of the best cypressy woody incense fragrances I've ever smelled, full stop, period. Oh. Oh my god. How do you even do that? It's incredible. Like, I don't even know. So, okay, it has the greenness of the cypress. It smells like a tree in my yard, actually. In the morning, when the dew is on the grass, when it's just rained, damp wood, very distinct, photorealistic, damp woodiness. It does have that incensey feel, the same incensey feel that Fille Nagui from Serge Lutens gives me. Not as Christmassy as Fille Nagui, although you could say this is a very autumnal, colder weather smell. But in general, this smells like freshly cut wood, damp wood in the morning in a forest, beautiful photorealistic levels of artistic perfumery depiction here. You're sleeping on Wazamba if you like Arso, if you like woody fragrances in general. Check this out. Next up is the brand's aquatic fragrance, and I'm just going to say it. This is one of the best aquatic fragrances on the market, period. It's up there with Acqua di Sale. This is called Acqua di Scandola. This is an aquatic fragrance for people that don't like aquatic fragrances. So if you struggle with that genre, I really feel like you could appreciate this. Oh. So in this fragrance, it manages to get this sort of sea breezy, even seaweedy, aquatic nature across without like an overdose of weird cologne or like aroma chemicals. This smells so citrusy and just very natural. The brief for this reads as follows: saline and solar. Scandola is a Corsican peninsula only reachable by the sea. Acqua di Scandola is a challenge to offer a different expression of the sea in perfumery thanks to a special algae extract, okay, with clear and salty facets. Iodic, aromatic, and mineral. Purely Mediterranean, exclusively Corsican. And yes, there is a saltiness, but it's never overdone. There is that sort of familiar sea breezy, wispy, almost watery aspect to this. It is also kind of green herbal in a way because of that algae. It's a little seaweedy. This might sound weird, but I'm telling you right now, like, if you smelled this, it wouldn't come across as weird. It would come across as like very photorealistic as an aquatic fragrance without being headache-inducing or annoying. You're not going to smell like a dead fish. Next up is the brand's Amber fragrance, and this is by far one of the best sellers, or at least the one I see talked about the most. This is called Ambre Russe. This is so fucking good. Like, I just have to just be blunt with you. This is one of the best ambers on the market, period. So the brief for this is: rich and passionate, in this intense elixir, the opulence of the Russian Empire is conjured by the golden warmth of ambergris, intensified by vibrant spices, the smoky aroma of Russian tea, and the spirituality of incense. So what you get in the opening is the most incredible, once again, photorealistic booziness. I believe in the notes there's stuff like vodka and champagne. And absolutely, you do get this sort of fizzy booziness, but also, right off the bat, you can tell just the richness and the depth of the ambery resinous qualities of this fragrance. It's almost like ooey gooey. It's spicy. It is going to be one of those fragrances that stays with you throughout the day. There is a slight smoky quality to this fragrance as well, but I wouldn't necessarily pin it to like the incense or any other particular material. I would just say the amber itself feels smoked, almost like it's an ambery cloud of billowing smoke while you're drinking vodka or something. I have no idea. All I know is this is a beautiful, beautiful amber, and I think If you're a fan of ambers, this isn't one that I would consider to be like really boring. This is yet another very unique take from this brand that doesn't feel derivative. Next up, another equestrian inspired fragrance. This time it is called Equistrius. This fragrance's brief is precious and intimate, the horse's breath. I think Ruade should be the horse's breath. I don't really agree with this fragrance's description, but the horse's breath, an exquisitely elegant as a thoroughbred, showcasing all the facets of Florentine iris, a powdery veil with suede and dark chocolate facets, melting into ambrette butter, a slightly fruity, natural vegetal musk. And yes, that is basically exactly what you get. It is an incredibly airy, almost playfully airy, musky, irisy, smooth floral experience with a bit of a chocolatey edge. If I had to compare this to something, I would compare this to Guerlain Iris Torrefi, if you've ever smelled that. Iris Torrefi is like an iris coffee. This is an iris dark chocolate. It comes across as incredibly clean, floral, very elegant. I could see this as being a beautiful, daily wear. I think it leans feminine in my opinion. Don't be fooled by the brief. This is not the horse's breath. That would be Ruade. This is more like, I don't know, the elegant air or the presence of an elegant horse. I have no idea. If you want to try to wrap this fragrance around in some sort of artistic depiction, maybe that would be a better fit than the horse's breath. Overall though, clean, floral, slight chocolatey edge, not gourmand in any way, really beautiful. Not one of my favorites from the brand though. Next up is another floral fragrance from the brand. This time it is called Trois Fleurs, or Three Flowers. I don't know. Is that Three Flowers? Yeah, it has to be. Okay, so the brief for this one is flamboyant and seductive. This petal-rich floral tells three love stories in three voices through three flowers: rose, jasmine, and tuberose, a sap green tear of galbanum, and a crisp mint leaf for excitement. Is this exciting? Yes. It leans very, very feminine in my opinion, just because of the way the florals are done. But wow, I mean, yeah, you get every single floral right in your face. And to my nose, the tuberose and the jasmine are going to be the two flowers that stick out the most. Whereas the rose, it feels like it's just there to provide some sort of freshness and some balance. The tuberose is green. The jasmine, it feels really fuzzy, really heady, indolic even. But it never gets dirty. It never gets annoying. This fragrance is incredibly well balanced. It's actually unbelievably beautiful. I could never personally pull this off. In my opinion, this leans very, very feminine. But again, if you're looking for a beautiful daily wear sort of floral that is incredibly high quality, I would really check out Three Fleurs. Absolutely gorgeous rendition of rose, jasmine, and tuberose. The tuberose in here, important to note, it never gets like, tuberose gets really, really annoying and like headache inducing. None of the florals really do that. Everything is very, very well balanced here. All right, coming to our last two fragrances here. This one's going to be a challenging one for a lot of people. This one is called Musc Tonkin. And as you can probably guess, this is an animalic musk fragrance. So, lovers of things like Musc Ravageur, the older formulation, Musc's Kublai Khan by Serge Lutens. This is probably going to be up your alley. So, the brief for this is pretty funny, actually. Well, not funny, but it's just, it's what you would expect. Addictive and erotic. Very interesting. A powerful aura. This elixir reinvents the most suave note in perfumery. Worshipped for a millennia, but long gone. The mythical Tonkin musk. And of course, musk fragrances in particular, in my opinion, need to go on skin because it just opens up so many other facets of it. So putting this on strip is a disservice. However, I have worn this, so I know what it does on skin. Okay, yeah. So Musc Tonkin. Yeah, it's musky, it's animalic. It is absolutely in the Musk Kublai Khan ballpark. It's fuzzy. It feels like animal fur. It's warm. It's inviting. It's sexy in a way. It's dirty. But at the same time, there's also a strange serenity in this scent for me. There's a freshness that is like very almost, I can't even place it. Like, how is this fresh while it's animalic at the same time? In my opinion, one of the best animalic musk fragrances on the market, period. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you like this style, you have to like this style. If you don't, I would stay far, far away. It's probably going to disappoint you. And I thought we had one more fragrance for this video, but it's actually just the fragrance that I don't have yet, which is Eau de Gloire, Eau de Cologne. It's not here yet. Unboxing video will be on the channel, I'm sure. So that's basically it. That is the full brand overview, or about as close as you can get to it, of Parfum d'Empire. One of the best brands on the market, you guys. I don't think there's a bad perfume in this brand at all. And when you're batting 1,000, that's really impressive nowadays. You know, even some of the best brands, they produce some shitters, right? As Rich Mitch says. So if you've never tried anything from Parfum d'Empire, obviously I'm not affiliated with the brand in any way. I should have said this up front. Should be obvious. I'm just, you know, a passionate person sharing what I really, really enjoy with you guys. Check out Parfum d'Empire. Great brand. They have something for everyone. Beautiful quality. Fair prices, in my opinion. It's just a breath of fresh air and perfumery, and apparently the brand owner is also a really cool guy, which also helps, you know, because some brands like BDK struggle with that a little bit, apparently. But, you know, that's neither here or there. If you enjoy the channel, be sure to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and I will see you guys in the next video.